What's good, everyone? Hope everyone's New Year's is going alright. This week's video is on the 6th installment to when boxers get taken to school. The title is pretty self-explanatory. With that being said, let's start the video. On October 10th, UFC heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou would shock casual boxing audiences when he took Tyson Fury to a decision, going as far as knocking the champion down in the 3rd round. Francis, who came from a kickboxing background, was able to easily transition to the sport, which, going through history, there has been many kickboxing and Muay Thai practitioners that have transitioned to Western boxing and became world champs, having a dominant career. Tyson Fury, with the mindset of most boxing fans that believe that these guys are not real boxers or will never be one. Did not bother to train hard for this fight. As mentioned in my cherry picking video, let the fighter's media workout be a good foreshadow. Fury, who usually puts on a show on the pads, looked absolutely awful. No rhythm, stiff, and out of sync. The failure of setting up the Wilder versus Joshua fight due to popular demand, this fight was the best option for Joshua as he waits in line for a title shot. Not repeating history, Joshua came in the best shape and brought back that 2016-2017 aura that's been missing. This was boxing versus MMA, UK/Nigeria versus Cameroon. A lot of weight that would elevate one's game, and this is probably the most intelligent fight Joshua had fought in a long time. Unlike Fury, Joshua forced Francis to think, which helped create openings and counters for Joshua. Joshua beautifully using his range to drop Francis down in round 1. Then to just pick him apart in round 2, drop him once more, then he would finish him off in Charles Martin-esque fashion. No wasted punches, just straight aura farming. Prior to 2024, I had not much to say about Freshmart's reign as a WBA champion. It was very long, did fight his mandatory opponents, though very questionable in quality, and still managed to look unimpressive. Since there is no money to be made in the weight classes, and the cash cows that do come in strawweight usually are in Japan, mixed with already low purses, a title fight, maybe if you're lucky, you'll get 100k, and non-title fights, you're looking at 5 to 10k purse. It's very risky unifying, not to mention the sanctioning fees. Already low purse on top of chucking fees to 2 titled bodies instead of 1. In this rare case, you're making more money holding 1 belt. So for the longest, Freshmart and Zhang never unified. Zhang would lose and then Freshmart fought him. So fast forward, strawweight now has new life in the weight class with the Shigeoka brothers and Oscar Collazo. Ring Magazine demotes Freshmart and rank, promotes the brothers and Collazo. The brothers end up losing and set up fights to fight Collazo. Freshmart in a legacy fight defeats an Olympian, then receives an insane career high pay by Turkey to fight Collazo for the first ever ring title unification. Freshmart did end up losing, but he proved in those 2 fights a level of grit and skill that I myself had never seen when following his career. Freshmart would move up in weight and he would be in line to fight for the WBC light fly title against contender Junior Zarate. A guy prior to the Winwood and Collazo fight, I would say could have potentially beaten him. This is the best I've seen Freshmart. I've been following the man's career, posting about it for like a decade now. I can't stress this enough, he's never looked this impressive. It's like comparing flyweight Pacquiao to featherweight Pacquiao, except Freshmart is like 36 years old. And funny enough, Freshmart had a running gag of compared to being a Pacquiao lookalike, and at sometimes fighting like him, just from a orthodox stance. Freshmart would dominate the fight and close the show big to win by unanimous decision to become a 2-time champion. Before we get back with the video, be sure to hit that like button. We're on the come up this year. It's finally working. If you enjoy the content, this is the best way to show your support, which I greatly appreciate. The comment section topic this video is, what is the most anticipated matchups you're looking forward to seeing this year? Leave in the comments. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and let's get back to the video. As I was praising Joshua for sticking to the game plan and not taking the task at hand lightly to where he's got it in the bag at the opening bell, Dubois put on a brilliant show. Joshua fighting overconfidently, not keeping his guard up, and really trying to look pretty. Dubois would catch him with his guard down and drop him at the end of the first round to be saved by the bell. Then once again in the third round to be saved by the bell once more. From the start of the fight, I did not really see Joshua using his range despite having a 4-inch advantage. Dubois, on the other hand, is using all the reach he has, and then some, where it almost appears he's the one with the longer reach. Joshua at the start of the fifth is finally using his reach, however he's keeping his left hand alarmingly too low despite already proving on numerous occasions he does not have the reflexes to bring it up on time to block. I get he's trying to throw a jab to the body, open up stairs, but he simply does not have the speed nor reflexes at this moment to pull that off without getting hit. Any coach who was under the Crunk Gym tutelage would have modeled Joshua to be a hybrid between Vladimir Klitschko and Lennox Lewis. He would have never been in this position, and the moments to follow right here. After the failure of setting up Joshua versus Wilder, with Wilder losing to Parker, Wilder, who had the most privileged tenure in the upper stratosphere of the sport, was given another chance to be in line for a title shot. If you want to learn more, go to my cherry picking video. To make things short, Wilder didn't even have to go through a legitimate title elimination process in his entire career leading up to this point post third Fury fight, which he was given a chance to allow Fury to fight Joshua for undisputed, and pretty much he has first dibs to face the winner for the undisputed title and for much more money. Wilder only had to face WBC number 23 ranked Malik Scott to be somehow in line for the title, and their fight being very questionable. Then while the title grab for Vitali's vacant title being the biggest joke in the weight class's history, being fought between Bermane Stiverne, Ray Alston, and Chris Arreola. So Wilder doesn't have to fight Bryant Jennings. He ends up winning the WBC title. Klitschko gets blackballed and blocked from challenging Wilder to become undisputed, with possibly the worst excuse given, and Wilder will go on to have some very questionable title defenses.
The Grim Reaper Roper will defend his heavyweight title against the number 8 ranked heavyweight contender according to the newly released WBI ranking,
with one make or break fight against Luis Ortiz. This is literally watching 1956 film The Harder They Fall taking place in real time, which the movie is pretty much in disguise based on the career of Primo Carnera. It's the Citizen Kane of boxing films, more so about the ugly side of the industry and the powers to be. Teddy Atlas, throughout his broadcasting career, has often quoted lines from this film.
Well, managers go on forever, but fighters only last a short time.
So anyways, he had to fight Zhang, who is a very hungry fighter from China, doesn't have a certain look, nor didn't produce any silverware in the amateurs, where he was pretty much on his own to be blackballed and gatekept by the industry. If the people behind Zhu Shimin put up the same energy with Zhang, rallying behind their only legitimate heavyweight, he may have been in the mix for a title much sooner. So Wilder is up against an incredibly hungry fighter who has a chip on his shoulder and has been blackballed his entire career, a type of fighter Wilder has never faced.
Well, you're the fixer. Let's see you fix your way out of this one.
What am I supposed to do? Listen, you knew sooner or later Toro would have to have a real fight. Well, this is it.
Now, wait a minute.
What?
I want you to fix it so he doesn't walk into a meat grinder. That's what I want.
Well, I can't help it this bum gets mad. Don't blame me.
Every little thing the experts and fight fans have pointed out that was either deflected and called a hater or a racist in response happened, Zhang could see all of Wilder's punches coming because he's constantly telegraphing, this time to a worse of an extent because he no longer has a guy like Mark Breland who didn't allow to be a yes man, to where he's allowing Wilder to do just whatever. To Wilder's credit, he would land a nice connection in the 5th. It was a bit of a new look from Wilder, which caught Zhang off guard. However, Zhang would quickly adapt and the fight would go back to normal, to where Zhang would knock Wilder out.
He's gone. He's not making this count, son. 9. This fight is finished. It's over. Big bang. Zhang has.
Everything that Rolly did in this fight is what I thought Haney was going to do. Very simple Mayweather gym signature, jab to the body, cross or counter upstairs, and mix it up with the rest of the weapons while slowing the fight down to your pace. If Haney would have done that rather than trying to go toe-to-toe and knock Ryan out, he would have won. Now, you probably would say, well, Haney doesn't have power. My counter argument is, it doesn't matter. When Rolly set Ryan up with that, Ryan had no answer and was completely disabled for the entire fight. Because, yeah, Rolly can crack, and since Ryan had no way of combating his offense to defense from Rolly, he would get clocked each time, which led to the performance we saw between the two post-knockdown. Haney, who has every advantage except for power, would have just landed so many connections at a high rate, to where Ryan's will to engage would have ended in the final quarter of the fight and just simply coasted to the cards. A lot of hype behind Brian Norman Jr., even more after the Jaron Ennis drama. This would help set up what was seen as a come-out party for Norman Jr. on the prize fighting stage against former undisputed lightweight champion and WBC junior welterweight champion Devin Haney. After all the drama with Ryan Garcia taking L's publicly from the lawsuit, and with his performance against Ramirez, which is possibly one of the worst boxing fights since Rigondeaux versus Casimero, Haney is coming into the fight with something to prove in a non-egotistical way, like what we saw in the Garcia fight, but in a way we saw in the Prograis fight. Haney took this man to school. Norman had some moments, but the experience and adjustments made, this was a stellar show by Haney to become the WBO champion. This was a fight I did not expect to happen, nor agreed Crawford should do such a move. I really thought he was going to become undisputed at junior middleweight, and if Janibek was able to do the same within the time frame Crawford pulls it off, he could fight him to put him in a unreachable level in the history books. Since this was serious and the fight was cemented, anyone who asked me leading up to this fight on Instagram how Crawford would fare up, I said if he legitimately puts the weight on where his base weight before rehydration is near the 168 limit, to where when he rehydrates he will be near 175, 180 on fight day, Canelo will be in serious trouble. Because like Canelo, Crawford is a very strong guy, and if he puts on the weight properly, he's not going to allow Canelo to bully him. To my surprise, Crawford, after seeing images of him a month out before the fight, he indeed put on the weight, and that's when I knew it was going to be a fight, and this may go horribly wrong for Canelo. This was an amazing show by Crawford. Terrence found out he could take Canelo's best punch. You really saw the best what Terrence had to offer. To Canelo's credit, he had his moments and made it competitive and tight as you possibly can get it. However, Crawford completely outshined and out-hustled Canelo and finished the fight outclassing the legend to become undisputed in 3 weight classes and retire from the sport with a record of 42-0 and 31 knockouts. He's on the short list of champions to retire undefeated, and even shorter list of undisputed champs to retire undefeated. Dubois got so much better with age after his defeat against Joe Joyce. He became a more complete fighter despite the serious hand speed disadvantages. He had given Alexander Usyk a run for his money, however, lost by KO in the 9th round. Dubois would bounce back, go on a string of big name wins, defeating Gerald Miller, Ergovic, and his coming out party knockout against Anthony Joshua. to fully cement his status as the IBF champion after Usyk had vacated it in efforts of fighting Tyson Fury in a second fight. Usyk, who had cleaned out heavyweight, he had one last loose end to settle after the Fury series had ended, which was to fight Dubois in a rematch for the undisputed title. The rematch being even bigger than the first, the setup to this fight couldn't have been any better. Usyk defeating Fury and Dubois on a hot streak to defeat Joshua. Two fighters in their absolute pinnacle. It was a masterclass performance by Usyk, resulting in a 5th round KO victory for Usyk to become a 3-time undisputed champion. And on top of that, this is when boxers get taken to school, part 6. For more installments, be sure to like, share, and if you're new, subscribe to the Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. I'm Alpha Sancho, and I'm out. Oh my gosh. And I'm out. And I'm out.